Hello everybody, this is the LSAT Study Buddy, coming back with the first video of this channel, other than the live streams that I've done studying. I figured today I'd cover Reddit, go through some of the most common questions or the newest questions, and just work my way down and see how many people I can help and how well I can do. I'm not going to say that I know the answer to everything, but I will do my best. So, without further ado, I'm going to share my screen. Yes, I use the Opera browser. All right, and you should be with me right here. So now we're going to go to new, and we're just going to go through the questions. We'll go for about, 20 minutes, half an hour. Canada. I don't know anything about Canada. Well done, Arhode 4. Yeah, the more you work at it, the better you'll get. That's just how it goes. Going up from mid 150s to a 165 is incredible. Very well done. Very, very well done. Now, I wouldn't say stop. If you want a 165 on test day, you should be getting a 167 to 168 on practices. I mean, I was getting around 170s, and on the actual test, I got a 164. So, you never know what that test day is going to be like, what that test is going to be like. So you want to make sure that you leave yourself some room to wiggle. Yeah, this pro tip right here, this LR tip by Avril Incandenza Law. Avril, I think I said it right. Okay, no, she's wrong. I'm sorry. You read the question type first. There are 13, I think, question types. And if you know what you're looking for before going in, a lot of the times you don't even need the answers, right? And you can focus on what you need to take away. So I'm sure maybe for her this works. I would not recommend it. Read the question type first, then read the question essentially, then read the paragraph for LR, and then go into the answer choices after you already have an answer choice in your head, something you're looking for. Another one, well done. Is it normal to feel that completing the LSAT on time is next to impossible? I mean, just skimming through the reading section and not digesting it, and still not being able to make it on time. When I do try to digest it, I end up missing the entire section. Is this a normal phenomenon when first encountering the LSAT, or is this a symptom of my reading deficiency? I think I'm fairly good at it once the prep has been digested. I've heard people saying they scored 155 on the practice test without prep. And I'm like, there's no way I can even fill in the bubbles. And this is under a hasty, reckless mentality. So, Sunny Ranch, great question, very important question with a very simple answer. The LSAT is a reading test, and you need to practice it. I would recommend you don't put yourself under timing pressure, especially if you're just starting out. When first encountering the LSAT, yes, of course, this is something that a lot of people face. There's a lot of reading, and it's a lot of dense reading. You have to train yourself to read the way they want you to read. Start untimed sections. Don't worry. When I'm doing my untimed stuff, one passage and questions takes me 20 minutes. Okay? It's no worries. Time will come once you nail the understanding. Nail the understanding, and then work on getting faster. Broke 170 today. Good job. RC is my strongest section. Lucky. You are incredibly lucky to have reading comp as the strongest section. I wish. Yep, the LSAT is all trick answers. Very, very good catch there. And it really is just learning those question types. You got it. You'll break it, Forte. Is there a way to convert flex scores to normal scores? What I'd say is take the logical reasoning. If it's a practice test, take the logical reasoning section you did, take the number of questions wrong, apply apply that same number of questions wrong to the next section and see how it works. If you're talking about converting like a full score, like let's say you took the November test, for example, like I did, I got a 164. Taking February again, but I got a 164. What I'd do is I'd probably, I don't know. I mean, LSAT built the flex in order for it to, LSAT built the flex in order for it to reflect a real LSAT. So I don't think that doing anything there or doing anything to the number would change anything. If you're talking about raw score, going from the flex to the full LSAT, divide by 3, multiply by 4. If you're going from a full test to the flex, divide by 4, multiply by 3. Or what I do is if you do a full test, grade reading comp and logic games, then incorporate one of the logical reasoning sections, get a grade, and then incorporate the other logical reasoning section, get a grade, and then average the two. Or just see your score band between those two is really the where that comes in handy. For January test takers, LSAT usually sends a link to register the week before. I'm not sure when the test is, but you should be getting an email from them, and you'll be able to register for your time slot. In terms of the written portion, you can do that basically whenever you want. You just won't get your test back. I did mine 2 weeks after my test date. I got my results, I think, 2 days after everyone else did, but it didn't really matter for me. I think there is a rule, not having a touchscreen device, but having it laid down on the desk like a piece of paper. You need to have the camera. It needs to be pointed at you. It needs to be connected to the device that you're using. And they need to be able to see everything. So I guess maybe if you have an external camera, you connect that external camera, you point it at you, and your surface is actually on the table. That could work. But I definitely play it safe here. Don't do anything you don't have to. And you should be able to use a stylus. I do recommend, however, the highlighters and stuff in the online LSAT. They have a couple practices. You'll see what I mean. You have 3 different colors, which really help if you assign them different meanings. Will the traditional LSAT ever come back? In short, I don't know. And if you should be studying for one or the other, study for the regular test. That way you have the stamina and you're ready for an LSAT flex. You're just doing 2 logical reasonings instead of 1 when you're studying. So if anything, you're sharpening your brain further. Study for the traditional. Get ready to take the flex. We don't know how long it's going to be here or if it's here to stay. Does anyone have any general tips or advice to maximize one's time for the final week before test day? I'm getting nervous because after steady progress from my diagnostics last fall, my practice tests are all over the place the last few tries, including one of my worst ever attempts 5 days ago. It's really close to home. I diagnosed at a 149, worked my way up to a 173 by the week before my test in November, over the course of about 2.5 months. It was like 3 months, but I took almost a month off in the middle because I was being stupid and picked it up 2 weeks before. Anyway, I picked it up to like a 173, and 3 days before my LSAT, my last practice test, I got a 158. So any tips? Know that sometimes there are flukes, and you'll probably on the final LSAT get closer to where you're averaging. So don't really stress about it. If you stress about it, it'll make it worse. So just relax and hope for the best and do your best. consistently scoring 171 plus on prep test prior to 80, 167, 169 on practice tests, 80 plus study advice. Yeah, things get harder more recently. The logic game specifically, I think you go into that. Yeah, logic games specifically get harder. They just turn it up a little bit. They get you to think a little more, because the older tests people studied and practiced and they got the patterns, and it really is just all patterns. So they added another step to the pattern, made it a little harder, added a little more time pressure. Yeah, how do you do it? If you did all the tests, my recommendation, especially if you're scoring this high, you can afford it in terms of the scholarship you'll be getting after. Spend the $100, get the online prep tests, and take them over and over again, all of the new ones, and until you got it, you'll be good. Same thing with the logic games. It's $100, and the scholarships that you'll have from 171 plus are going to make up that $100. No questions asked. When you're breezing through a game, you get the last question and see which one of the following is substituted for the constraint. That's funny. That's really funny. I like that a lot. That is really funny. Alright, I almost got passed on all the time. Don't use Firefox. Short and simple. I don't know, it depends on your proctor, but don't use Firefox. You're making it harder on yourself. Can you use Control F? Yes, you can and do. Highly recommend using the Control F function on your reading comprehension section. It makes things a lot easier, especially if you see a word that pops out at you and you're like, oh, that was in the passage. Control F, find it. I haven't heard of anyone having any issues with that. Do I have any tips or advice for you? I'm going to go to this one. Hi all, I'm targeting a score of 160 to 163 for my LSAT, and I'm consistently scoring 4 or 6 wrong on logic games, but I'm very inconsistent with both my logical reasoning and reading comp, somewhere between 5 and 9 wrong. Any tips for this final week? I don't really have any strategy, theory, specific knowledge of RC and LR. I just pick what it makes most sense to me, so that probably explains the inconsistency. Any help is appreciated. My advice to you, I don't know what you're scoring. Yeah, I don't know what you're scoring. You don't say exactly where you are compared to this 163 or 160 to 163. My answer would be, any tips or advice for this final week? Push your test back. You're not ready. This is not inconsistency. This is just not being ready to sit down for the test. Yeah, I'd say push it. Take April. Spend the next 2 months focusing on how to read LSAT. Focus on the LR, RC. Make sure you know your logical reasoning question types. Make sure you know your mechanisms for how to answer them. This is just, I mean, maybe you can get away with it on a flex. But I mean, if you pull out, let's say, a -8 and a -7 on your LR and RC, there's no way, unless maybe you got a perfect logic game. But still, I don't think. No, it just doesn't look like you're ready. No, for 160, 163, at least I don't think. All right, diagnostic anxiety. Look at this. If I score super low, it'll suck. And I'm doing my diagnostic cold turkey, no studying. I'm anxious that if I score super low, I won't be able to pass. or score in the high 160s or low 170s. I already know, based off of my experience with con questions, that I suck at logical reasoning and logic games. So everyone wish me luck. Okay, did you come back to post your score? Van Gogh. Van Gogh. Yeah, I'm going to echo exactly what AMG Tronus says here. Your diagnostic test means nothing, okay? My diagnostic test was 149, and I was scoring 173s on my practice test before my November test. Yeah, I already know, based off of my experience with con questions, that I suck at LR and LG. Everyone sucks at everything on the LSAT until you start studying for the LSAT, because it's nothing like anything you've ever seen before. But don't say you suck at it. You'll have a lot of time to grow. Diagnostic means nothing. It usually takes people about 6 months to peak, have their score peak, and yeah, doing it cold turkey, no studying. It doesn't matter, because if you've never studied for it before, don't expect to do well. Don't expect to do well. Yes, the logical reasoning and the logic games for AD's practice tests are harder. At least I think so. Is there a huge difference? Yes. They got smarter because they realized that people were starting to do too well. This is a great idea, Taylor. You should 100% find someone to study with. It is incredibly important. That is why I made this channel, so I didn't have to study alone. Oh, that's me. I posted. No one came by. Well, some people came by. Come by, though. Selfless plug. I live stream every day. Just studying. You can come by with LSAT questions. I'll answer them. Just like, comment, subscribe. Turn on the notification bell. You'll see when I go live. Feel free to stop by, ask me any question, either a general LSAT question like these, or you can ask me a specific question from a specific test in a specific book, and I'll answer it, but I'll do my best to answer it. Study partner, good idea. I'm not going to go through this, but very well done. Look at that, that's great progress. Very impressive, 147 to 160, wow. Well done. After the April one, I'm not sure. But definitely try to take one over the summer. If not, it depends on when you're applying. Right, so I'm taking this year and I'm applying for next fall, for fall of 22. So I made sure that I gave myself a lot of gap between when I started studying and when I need to take the test and when I'd be applying for it. But I'm not sure. Check LSAC. LSAC, not LSAT. LSAT writing, can someone explain it to me? You can take it any time from now to June 16th, but is it proctored? Do I just click the link on LSAC and take it? How many pages is the typical writing section? Thanks so much. This is my first time taking the LSAT, and I find the instructions LSAT gives to be confusing. Very simple. Your camera turns on. There's no proctor there, though. They just record you and I guess look back at it to make sure you didn't cheat. Doesn't need to be too long. I think it's like 35 minutes, so it can't really be too long. You basically get, you get like pros and cons. Like you get one side and then you get the other side. You get two options, and then you gotta say which option you think answers the question they have the best. The first option or the second option. And then you write it, right? So you say this option is good or is bad because of this, yada, yada, yada. this option, or the second option, makes or fills in these holes, right? So these issues don't exist with the second option. And in fact, it's so good that it also has this, and that. Now, it also does have its downsides of this, and this, but those are negligible, less than important compared to the positives or the downsides of the other one. Whatever, and I'm close. It's pretty straightforward. It's not something you need to worry about. You just compose something. It's like a page and a half. I'm a first year at college undergrad and would like to know, when should I take the LSAT? I would like to take it more than once. And when do I apply to law school? Well, optimal principle 72. It depends. A lot of people take a gap year or 2 years to gain some experience because it helps to get into law school. Some people go straight from undergrad. I'm going straight from undergrad, but I also am off semester, so I finish in the fall instead of in the spring. So I know people that push it off until the summer before their senior year, and they have to apply that fall for that summer if you want to go straight through. If you want to go straight from undergrad to law school, what I would recommend is you start studying fall of your junior year. No, sorry. You start studying spring of your summer of your sophomore year, going into junior year. Start studying summer of your sophomore year. Take your first test beginning of junior year. We're talking November, December test. Then, if you're almost at where you want to be, go ahead, take the February one. Make sure you give yourself that winter break to study. Take that February one. And then if you need to, you take a summer one or early senior year, or an October one of senior year, August, October, something in there of senior year. That way you can get a third one in. That's my plan, except I finish in the fall. Otherwise, you're kind of rushing senior year. And with classes and stuff, I know people take it a little easier because like you're almost there. But definitely something to be wary of is to make sure you have enough attempts to make sure you get that score, because otherwise you force yourself into either going to a school that's not one you want to go to, or when you want to go to less than your dream school, or you force yourself into rushing an LSAT or taking a gap year. Yeah, your diagnostics mean nothing. Move on. Scheduled for 2:20 p.m. that day, so it will close at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Take your test when you're scheduled to take your test. This is a great development, 140 to 155. I'm not sure where you want to go, Time Lawyer 2021, but let's keep it going. All right, I think I'm gonna take one more. Let's do this one. A Red Velvet XXO. Hi everyone, my test is planned for April. If there's a May date, I will push it, but if not, I'll stick with April. And I'm currently, I think, averaging about 15 to 20 hours per week in terms of studying. Is that too little? Too little? I just started studying and I haven't been getting all my practice questions wrong. Good. LOL, which is a relief for me. I get more right than wrong for now, well, hopefully forever. And I'm worried that I'm not studying enough. I'm working and also a full-time student. I guess the benefit of the LSAT is that it's mostly understanding and not memorization. So I don't need to intensely focus to get info in my head for an extended period of time, but I would love to know how many hours other people are studying. My goal is 170 plus. P.S. In your opinion, is the best way to study to keep doing practice tests until you start to ace them all? Or doing drills about different question types and explaining your reasoning, or mix them better? All right. Great question, Red Velvet XXO. I'm happy I clicked this one and said this is going to be my last one because there's a good amount of stuff to say here, and it's a good way to end. So I'm just gonna start. 15 to 20 hours a week um, is fine. That's probably roughly around the amount I do, 3 to 4 hours a day. No, but I go 7 days a week. So if I do 3 hours a day, 7 days a week, I'm right around the top end. But you're also working. And if you're planned for April, you have some time. You have 4 months. So long as you're starting to study, or you've started already. Now, most people it takes 6 months to peak, so don't be worried. If you do push back to May, I'd recommend pushing back to May. Also, a summer test, if April or May don't go well for you, is definitely in the books here. Now, better question, and this stuff down here. P.S. In your opinion, is the best way to study to keep doing practice tests until you start to ace them all? Big answer here, no. Do not do that. Okay? Do not take and waste practice tests. That's a waste of time. Practice tests are for timing. Wait until you know what you're doing. Okay? So you start by drilling question types. You learn the question types. You drill the question types. You make sure you know the mechanism for how to answer each individual question type. Then once you know the question type, you go to all the question types, you go to a section. And you go through the section and don't even answer the question. Just make sure you can tell which question type is which question. After that, you can add the two and you can say, okay, let's do a section. We're going to figure out the question type, then we're going to do the question. Then number 2, we're going to figure out the question type, then we're going to do the question. Number 3, we're going to figure out the question type, we're going to do a question. And so on and so forth all the way through the section. Once you do that, you keep doing that. And you keep doing that over and over again, just sections or pieces of sections. And if you need tests, guess what? There are at least 6 different LSAT prep books that LSAC releases, or you could do the online one with all of the tests for $100 for 1 year subscription. Point is, there are enough tests to do this. And once you can get through it, and you keep working on it, you make sure you're reading right, make sure you're getting the questions wrong. If you know your question types and you're reading properly, you should be getting 2 questions wrong per section max. Once you're practiced and in the swing of things, maybe 3 depending on the section. And yeah, question types and drill. Same thing for logic games. The other different type of logic games and drill to logic games. Reading comp is reading comp. That's just practice. That you need to do like a practice test. But even not, I'd say do 1 passage. Take as long as you need to get every question right, and then do that same thing again, and then again, and then again. And then you can start doing sections once you're getting them right consistently. And then you can worry about timing. Don't do practice tests until you can worry about timing. And you shouldn't be worrying about timing until you're averaging about 3 or 4 points. I'd say about 2 points, until your practice testing about 2 points higher than you want on the test. You should not be timing. You should just be doing everything for perfection. Timing and getting things wrong, not as good as not timing and getting everything right. So that's my answer there. Once you have everything right, of course, once you have everything right, shift back and start working on timing. But don't start working on timing until you get everything right, or close to everything right. And when you look back at the ones you got wrong, you're like, oh, I'm an idiot. That was an assumption move. Yeah, so with that, that's my Reddit scroll. If you guys have any questions, feel free to comment below. I'd love to get another video up as soon as possible if it's something y'all are interested in. Otherwise, have a good night, good morning, good afternoon, whatever it might be, wherever you are. And remember, we all study together. We go to law school together, and we'll be, I guess, the lawyers of the future. So I'll catch y'all later. See the LSAT Study Buddy. Remember, like, comment, and subscribe. Turn the notification bell on. Wow, that sounds so weird. All right. Catch y'all later.